I must robot now!
Hustle, Freshets, hustle!
Move it!
Do you want me to burn your hair?
Swimming on the grass in the night, I didn't count that as a necessary step to earn my position here.
Nothing is mandatory, it is desirable.
Robot, Freshets, robot now!
Move it, man! Move it!
The idea of moving away from home, living on your own, being free from your parents' rules, for many of us, is one that we welcome with open arms. But what you most likely didn't know is that all the smiles you are greeted with over the phone when you arrive at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies will fade away in the night. Each year, the Mona campus invites over 2,000 students to live on the 6 halls of residence. Half of these persons are freshers, students coming to live on hall for the first time. Freshers are from varying age groups, including mature persons, but most are students coming fresh out of high school.
Come on, Freshets, hustle, come on! Very good.
In the first 2 weeks, all new students living on hall are expected to participate in hall orientation, what is commonly called grubbing.
Jump into the pellet duck fence, Freshets.
Orientation is simply the process by which new members, in this case in an academic community like this university, are welcomed into the university and taught the rules of engagement. Because we have a problem in the past with ragging, or the university had a tradition with ragging, the orientation policy of the university speaks more to how the new student should not be treated, as opposed to how they shouldn't be treated. So we know for a fact that ragging is prohibited. We know that they are not to be insulted.
Kill your smile. Shoot it, Freshet. Bow, bow, bow.
Belittled, etc., etc.
Jump, Freshet. I said swim. Swim, Freshet. Yes, Freshet. Swim. Swim as if your life depended on it, Freshet.
The policy speaks more to in the negative. This should not happen when we bring new students into the university, rather than what should happen.
But even though the university's policy does not allow ragging, does this mean it doesn't happen?
People think that we quote-unquote rag students, but I mean, that is just a merely conceptual, or to me, a misperception of what actually takes place during orientation.
It's said that in September 2005, a student broke his arm during a block orientation ritual on Irvine Hall. It is a fact that his arm got broken, but how? Apparently, he was beaten with a bat made of several layers of newspaper. That still remains a rumor, but it raises questions about what goes on during hall orientation. Binge drinking, rolling up the mountain, and other physical challenges are whispered about in many corners of the campus. But no one on the hall committees will admit to them, and few want to talk about it.
They make it seem as if you're already paid to be here. And what I get to understand, okay, you're paid to be here. So the process of actually earning your space here, I think you're already done that when you're paid. So going through the induction and having to go through all the strenuous things, and then reaching to a point where you're up until 4 in the morning, having to get up the next morning to go to class, just because you have to go through this process in order to be inducted, in order to participate in terms of representing the hall, because if you're not inducted, you can't represent the hall. And I don't want to represent the hall. So the process, to me, it was like unnecessary. And I cried. I literally cried until I couldn't stop.
Open up your eyes.
I felt humiliated. Swimming on the grass in the night, that's totally swimming to sequel, to earn yourself in sequel. It's not, I didn't count that as a necessary step to earn my position here as a sequelite.
The UWI Mona campus isn't alone in orientating new students to hall life. At the St. Augustine campus in Trinidad on Canada Hall, the orientation committees discipline freshers by bucketing. But hall orientation committees defend the activities saying they will prove beneficial for new students.
It is necessary for the purpose of basically building character and getting the new students familiar with certain principles and certain strategies that we have that will better gear them to be successful in whatever they do.
But is university life at the Mona campus so rigorous that freshers have to participate in these activities to adjust to it?
Some activities put on by the Office of Student Services are mandatory in the sense that they are beneficial to the students. Like, for example, when there are faculty times on faculty days where they get to meet their lecturers, I would hope that most students would see that as mandatory. However, certain things that we do on Hall in the form of tradition, we don't mandate that anybody participate. My favorite term is that nothing is mandatory, it is desirable.
In my first year, we had a student who didn't want to do the induction, and her mother didn't want her to do the induction. And she came and she said she didn't want to do induction. So she didn't do the induction, because she didn't want to do it. We've had where students have come to say, I didn't like the way senior so-and-so spoke with me. She was rude, she was too aggressive. And I've had to call the senior and say, you know, watch the tone or just be a little bit more careful.
Despite all this, some participants actually found Hall orientation fulfilling.
Well, I thoroughly enjoyed the orientation process. I mean, there were times when the competition got a little bit heated and tempers flared, maybe because, everybody wanted to win and maybe you thought you were being pressured, but I guess at the end of it, we all realized that we got to meet each other. We learned tolerance, we learned patience, we learned how to appreciate others from other backgrounds, and I think all in all it was good.
Officially, the university has a no ragging policy. But if Hall orientation consists of swimming in the grass or even having fire being put to your face, which could humiliate, frighten and demean students, then it comes pretty close to ragging. And we still haven't been told the full story.